Well, we're in about the third week in May, getting ready to, as we close in on the Bonneville Speed Week, which is, for us, it's going to be August 5th through the 8th. There's a few things that you have to do. They give you a checklist on the motorcycles that they're going to do a tech inspection. There's about 40 things, I don't know, 40 something things on the checklist that have to be done, depending on the bike. So we're going to go over those things, the checklist today, and make sure everybody's gets assigned, who's assigned to what, so we don't miss something. Probably about 11 of those things on the checklist we don't have to do anything about because they're already done, like gas caps and stuff like that, and your controls. You just can't have broken controls or anything like that. So really there's not anything that you have to do with those. And I did a checklist and I marked those in orange. They're already done. Then there's some things that we don't have to do because we're not a supercharged bike or something like that. So there's another 6 or 7 of those. About 6. So of those on the checklist, I think that I'm going to be responsible for at least 8 of them. And then plus things like the compressor and the canopy and the tarp and the trailer and the generator and things like that. Those are things I'll be responsible for. Some other things that Jeff and Bill have to decide is, they're going to have to do. Now there's about 19 things on their list they need to divide up and figure out who's doing what and when they're going to get them done. Some things on the checklist would be better to get done before others. Things like we're changing tires, so safety wiring could probably be done after that, not before that. Or you could drill the holes, but you don't want to go to all the effort to safety wire everything, then have to break it loose when you change the tires. Those sorts of things. You have to know it's really hard to do those things once you get there, because there's no resources out there. You're out in the middle of nowhere. They got a town, Wendover, but I think it's got a auto place and some restaurants and the big casinos, but not a lot of stuff you can get from a casino for a motorcycle, is there? So we'll go over those today and make sure we know when those are going to get done, and they're going to get done. And if Jeff's the owner of the bike, he wants to bring it over to my house and we can do it at my house, that'd be fine. Or we're going to take it to Mr. Bill's house, that'd be fine too, because his wife's going to have to park our Civic outside, so I don't suspect that's going to be number 1 on the list of things to do. We can put it up on my lift. I got room for that. But now I sold the monkey. The monkey is gone. And the Royal Enfield's still up for sale. I've got it parked in my garage with my car. So we have some more room out in my shop to put things. Especially if you take the saddlebags off of this Tiger. It gets kind of wide with these saddlebags. So tune back in a little later. Maybe we'd see, get these things divided out, get them done. I'd like to get everything done by the last June 30th, it gives you a solid month to figure out things that didn't work and you couldn't get done, get those things done. So, you know, shoot for June 30th for having everything done. Then if you get any surprises, you have time to deal with the surprises. When you go out of Bonneville, it's just everything that can happen bad usually does. You know, it's just, that's the way it is. You know, somebody goes out there and makes a perfect run, chances are you make about 50 runs, you might have one where everything went perfect. The course, the rider, and the bike. But more often than not, something, you know, happens. The wind's blowing and blows you sideways. I heard people miss shifts. I try not to. And sometimes the bikes just, you know, some days they run better than they do on other days, you know. Some days the density of the altitude is 5,000 feet. Some days the density of the altitude is 7,200 feet. So it's very difficult to get a perfect run, which everything just went just right. Then, for the records, you need to have 2 runs. So generally one of the runs is not going to be as good as the other one because it's, you know, maybe did something else happened that prevented you from having that really good run. You know, there's a wind that hits you out at the 2 mile point, you know, on windy days, and it's big quartering crosswind, so it can really throw you off your spot. You know, if you got a good spot, you're running down the track, you know, and everything's really good, and you don't want to move from that because the salt's good there, that the wind blows you 3 or 4 feet, then you're off the spot, and you have to decide whether running where you're running is costing you more speed than it would be to try to get back to the spot. As you understand, every time you go against the wind, even a side wind, it costs you speed. So most of the time you don't want to have to fight the wind. Every time you fight the wind, you lose a mile an hour or 2. We had to figure out where we're going to put the GoPros on this. Rocket 3 so they don't blow off. Not wearing one on my helmet. I tried that with a ZX 1400R once. At 175 miles an hour, plus it kind of bends on your neck a lot. So definitely not going to have one. If you put it on the center here, you're tucking down, sometimes you can't see anything anyway. The only reason I'd have a camera there would be maybe to let me know the RPMs and things like that. With the Rocket 3, you got a lot more torque and a lot more power. You got a lot more RPMs to go. You know, on the Thruxton R, I'm pretty much at probably about 7,000 RPMs, depending on how I got the bike geared. So I'm only going to get about another 400 RPMs out of it from mile 1 to mile 3. With the Rocket 3, I'll probably be about 5,600 RPMs. And normal, I think redline's what, 6 something. But you know, you figure that some of that RPM you're getting here is wheel spin also, so you're losing a little bit, you know, a couple hundred RPM off of wheel spin, even at mile 2. But you still you got another 1,400, at least 1,400 RPMs to run after mile 1. Versus, I'm pretty much tapped out on the Thruxton R. You know, I can pick up 12 miles an hour, but you know, but this thing, if I can run 152 on the Thruxton, why couldn't I run a little faster than that on the Rocket 3? Join me and my friends at Flat Cap Cafe Racer for riding and racing. Please subscribe.